This podcast has been brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. For as little as $10 a month, you can help people find life-changing guidance.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وعملا وقربا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا وأكرمنا ولا تهنا وأعطنا ولا تحرمنا وآثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا وأرضنا وارض عنا يا أرحم الراحمين ويا أكرم الأكرمين ويا ذا الجلال والإكرام. So, Bismillah. So, we looked yesterday at Sayyidina Musa when he went to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we were looking at some of these qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala um, described, what the believers are like. And so we look at the next set where he said, after the Torah was revealed, he said, سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. So I will turn away from my signs those who act unjustly with arrogance in the land. And then he said, وإن يروا كل آية لا يؤمنوا بها وإن يروا سبيل الرشد لا يتخذوه سبيلا وإن يروا سبيل الغي يتخذوه سبيلا. So he said, and even if they were to see every sign, they still would not believe in them. And if they see the right path, they will not take it. But if they see a crooked path, they will follow it. Why? ذلك بأنهم كذبوا بآياتنا وكانوا عنها غافلين. This is because they denied our signs and were heedless of them. Right? So, what is the ayah talking about? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. So, firstly, the word takabbara, yatakabbaru, which means to exert effort to try and be bigger. So they're not big, right? As human beings, we are, all of Allah's creation are in need of Allah, right? In every moment. So how can you decide I have no need for Allah? I'm too good for this, right? You can't. That's foolishness. So no one has a right to try and aggrandize themselves. And then he says بغير حق, right? Without any right they do this. So even if there was a right, even if someone could rightfully do this, these people aren't doing it, right? So it's a hyperbolist way of expressing it. So what happens? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says سأصرف آياتي عن الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. I will divert my signs. So it's as though this person's there waiting and the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are coming to these people. So what happens? Because of their choices and the way they act and with the way they see themselves, they see that they're superior to the truth. Allah turns the signs away. So it's like the signs don't even reach them. Although in fact, yes, the prophets come and they deliver the message, they do reach them. But understanding and benefiting from these signs, it just doesn't happen. They see themselves as being above the truth. The truth is below them because it doesn't meet their standards, or it doesn't support their lifestyle, or whatever, right? Their hawa, whatever they want, however they want things to be, because the truth isn't like that. They dismiss it. So there's a problem, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'll turn my signs away from these people, right? And so what are they like? وَإِن يَرَوْا كُلَّ آيَةٍ لَا يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَا. And if they were to see every single sign, they wouldn't believe in it, right? We saw this with Fir'aun, 9 huge signs, right? Massive, amazing miracles, still couldn't care less. But when death came, when he's drowning, oh, I believe. What good is it now? Keep it. Right, so this is the thing. So it's a real warning about arrogance. And as we said yesterday, that the message of the Quran is simple, but it's repeated in many ways. And this is a key thing, that those who are arrogant and act arrogantly, they it's like they're tying a blindfold over themselves. They don't see the truth, they don't act according to it, and it ends up affecting everything, right? And especially the most important thing, their relationship with Allah, right? So if you see, if a thought comes to you, no, this is not my thought, reject it, right? And one of the ways of seeing, of what the ulama mentioned about arrogance is alhamdu lillahi, all praise, it belongs to Allah. What are you arrogant? Why do you think you're superior? Is it because you're intelligent? Allah gave it to you. Is it because you're good looking? Allah gave your looks to you. Is it because you're wealthy? Allah gave your wealth to you. Is it because you got status? Allah gave it to you. And you can take all of them away as well, right? Waliyadu billah. That's why gratitude. Do you find arrogant people out there being grateful? No, because when um, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exonerated Sayyidah Aisha after they had accused her of bad things, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited the ayat that exonerated her. Um, you know, what happened is the Prophet, he said the hadith because at that moment she was feeling very upset and she felt that everyone had suspected her. So she's like, I'm only gonna. Her parents said, stand, thank the Messenger of Allah, and she said, I'm only gonna thank Allah because Allah exonerated me, right? So there's no arrogance here at all. Hasha, she beyond that. But Sayyidah Aisha at this moment it's understandable. She's feeling like everyone had abandoned her, so she's feeling very upset. And so Allah has exonerated her. So she was saying this. The Prophet said, "Ya Aisha, la yashkurullaha man la yashkurun nas." Oh Aisha, someone who hasn't thanked people hasn't thanked Allah, because Allah sends gifts and blessings and through people. There are means. So if you really want to be thanking Allah, thank people. But what do arrogant people do, right? Is that they don't thank Allah, right? They see everything as I'm deserving of this, and the sense of entitlement. Whereas with the believer, it should always be, you know I'm being blessed with this. I don't deserve this. And in reality, who are you? Like, what do you deserve, right? What have you done to, deserve half the blessings that you have, right? And we know from the hadith that a lifetime of worship, 500 years worth of worship, isn't enough to pay off the blessing of eyesight, right? So this is it, and so they see themselves as above the truth, right? And subhanallah, so Allah protect us from that. And they see themselves as above others. And then he said, so they won't believe in any of the signs. And وَإِن يَرَوْا سَبِيلَ الرُّشْدِ لَا يَتَّخِذُهُ سَبِيلًا. If they see the way of good, they won't take it. Why? Because it goes against their priorities. So in no way, shape, or form will they follow any of it. وَإِن يَرَوْا سَبِيلَ الْغَيِّ يَتَّخِذُوهُ سَبِيلًا. And if they see the way of deviance, they will follow that. They'll take it as their approach if it supports their way, right? Because the truth, doesn't support what they want and how they want their life to be, and falsehood does. So they will take it whenever the opportunity comes, right? So Allah protect us. uh, why all these things happen? بأنهم كذبوا بآياتنا. They deny the signs of Allah and the miracles and the proofs and all the arguments that the prophets come with. They deny them. They say these aren't from God. So therefore, anything that contradicts them, they will support that, right? Because they've denied the signs of Allah. They can't then just start agreeing with what they're calling a lie. So anything that contradicts it, they will go and follow that, right? And وَكَانُوا عَنْهَا غَافِلِينَ. And they were completely heedless of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they denied them. They didn't pay much for any further attention. They didn't reflect, right? So they neglected them. And due to their neglect, they were heedless. They were unaware of the real implications of these signs, right? Bad choices that they made. So that's what yeah, the ayat of the Torah were about. So let's look now at what happens when Sayyidina Musa, at the end of his stay. So we said that he was there for 30 days and then he was increased to 10. He had told Bani Isra'il, I'm going to the mountain, I'm going to speak to Allah, He's going to give me the Torah, a law for you. And so he said, and he told them he'd be going 30 days, right? The increase happened when he was there. So what happened is, as as time was passing, they, after 30 days he didn't return, and they panicked, right? What's going on? So let's see. So I believe, oh yeah, all the coming ayat are from Surah Taha, where it's mentioned, all this is mentioned in detail. وَمَا أَعْجَلَكَ عَنْ قَوْمِكَ يَا Musa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him. Allah asked, why have you come with such haste ahead of your people, O Moses? Right? قَالَ هُمْ أُولَٰئِ عَلَىٰ أَثَرِي وَعَجِلْتُ إِلَيْكَ رَبِّي لِتَرْضَىٰ. So beautiful. He said, they are close to my tracks, and I have hastened to you, my Lord, my loving Lord, so you be pleased. قال فإنا قد فتنا قومك من بعدك وأضلهم السامري, and we have indeed tested your people in your absence, and the Samiri has led them astray. So what does this mean? So Sayyidina Musa was traveling with them, and he put Sayyidina Harun alayhi salatu wasalam in charge, and he left earlier, like he moved on with more haste, and so he could climb the mountain and go and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, speak to him. So he got there before his people did, right? So all these things had happened, and then towards the end, it seemed like towards the end of the stay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Sayyidina Musa, وَمَا أَعْجَلَكَ عَنْ قَوْمِكَ يَا Musa, what made you hasten ahead of your people? So Sayyidina Musa gave two reasons. He said, قَالَ هُمْ أُولَٰئِ عَلَىٰ أَثَرِي, right? They are following my way, like they're coming up behind me. And you can also understand it to mean that, they're following my way, like, what I've taught them, like, he felt confident that now that, they're gonna, Allahu Alam, that, they're gonna obey, right? They're gonna be how they're meant to be. And he left Sayyidina Harun there, so there's, he's put his confidence in him, and so he's sure that they'll get there, and no problem. And then he says, وَعَجِلْتُ إِلَيْكَ رَبِّي لِتَرْضَى. Beautiful. وَعَجِلْتُ إِلَيْكَ رَبِّي لِتَرْضَى. I hasten to you, my dear Lord, so that you be pleased. Right? So he wants to be with Allah. He wants to spend that time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah. This is what the righteous talk about, the ladhatul munajah, right? That the sweetness of this intimate speaking with Allah, like, in your du'as and in the last third of the night, and these times just being with Allah, speaking to Allah, it gives it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a particular enjoyment. They're not there for the enjoyment, they're there for Allah, but there's this sweetness that they get from it. And the same with reciting the Quran and dhikr. Yeah, you don't do the worship for the benefits, you do the worship for the Lord, and the Lord gives the benefits, right? He's too generous not to. So that's how it is. So so there's a lesson, whenever, when you have an opportunity to do some good, do it, hasten to it, right? And to the best of your ability, right? To the best of your ability, that you take care of the things that need to be taken care of, like he put Sayyidina Harun alayhi salatu wasalam in charge, gave him instructions. So your obligations, you get them done, and then with the time that you have, you use it to be with Allah, spend that time to draw closer to Allah, or to do something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with, right? And like I said, in Islam, your intentions can take you a long way, right? Niyatul mar'i khairu min amalih, as as they say, that the intention of a person is better than his deed. Your deed might end, you might intend to give, so much money in charity or whatever, but you might, something might come up and you might have to spend that money elsewhere, but the deed might not happen, but the intention has happened, right? And with the same thing, just if you're just tired at the end of the day, firstly your sins are getting wiped away, and but if you're just tired at the end of the day, Allah loves it, when a person, for example, after working all day, to earn a livelihood, and this person is just tired at the end of it, right? Because it's obeying Allah's command, right? So it's all like that. With intention, you can turn anything into gold, right? The gold of the akhirah, right? Good deeds. So it's like that. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said to him, Inna qad fatanna qawmaka min ba'dika wa adallahum samiri. we have tried, we've tested your people after you. And this is the nature of the dunya. This is the nature of the dunya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deliberately created us in a place where there are tests and trials to see how we will act, so He can reward us appropriately in the akhirah. Not everyone deserves to have the highest ranks in paradise with the prophets, alayhim wassalatu wassalam. And and some people deserve to have those high ranks, and some people just won't. Some people are happy with just entering paradise and leave me alone. I'll be happy with my food and my and my sofa, or whatever it is in paradise, right? you know so don't be surprised. As long as you're in this life, tests are going to come, right? Whether it's one thing or another, or if it's 10 at once, and whether it's whether it's your health, or whether it's your family, or whether it's something in the community. Things happen, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them, right? And so He said, we've tested your people. How? By producing this situation, right? So then what happens? وَأَضَلَّهُمُ السَّامِرِي, He said, and that the Samiri has misled them, led them astray. Who's the Samiri? Some of the ulama say that it's his name, Samiri. That's his name. What actually seems closer to reality is that it's a nisbah, it's an ascription, right? Like um, he's from that place, right? He's from a place or a particular group. So there's a Samira, a group within Bani Isra'il, and he was connected to them, according to some of the ulama. Allah knows best. And so, because he's connected to them, it seems like he was known with this title, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to him as As-Samiri, the Samiri, and others refer to him like that. So maybe he was distinct amongst them, or he was known with this title. But anyway, that's how he's called. And he said that the Samiri has led them astray, right? What has he done? So he said, for we'll find out here. فَرَجَعَ مُوسَى إِلَى قَوْمِهِ غَضْبَانَ أَسِفًا. So Musa returned to his people furious and sorrowful. So some of the ulama, first of all, what does ghadban mean? Full of anger. Like we said, Rahman means full of mercy. So here, ghadban, he's full of anger. He's just outraged that this man has led them astray, and after just being told no, because they were like, they've got this hankering for, oh, we want some idols. So after being told no idols, you can't, you've got Allah, right? He's superior to everyone, and He's just saved you from Fir'aun. He's given you all of these favors. He's going to give you this land. Why would you want to worship an idol? So after clarifying all of this to them, they're going to worship a cow, right? A golden cow, calf. And so he's angry at that. He's angry that all these years of effort and teaching and guidance and everything and sacrifice on his part, all of it just disappeared. He disappears for he goes away for a month or a bit more, and that's it. They've gone and started to do this. So he's ghadban. And then asif. So some of the ulama said, look, they're contradicting emotions, right? That he's angry, so how can he be sad at the same time? And others have affirmed both, right? So asif means sad. And so they said that asif has a different meaning. Those that said they're contradictory, but you can see both. You can be extremely saddened by something, uh, which is what they didn't listen to Sayyidina Harun. They didn't listen to his teaching. They didn't listen to all of this. So you can be saddened by this, and and then enraged, angry at what they've done. So saddened by the fact that it's happened, and and angry at the fact that they've done this, right? So there's no contradiction. You can't combine this. But anyway, Allahu Ta'ala a'lam. Well, that's the meaning that many of the scholars go with, that he was angry and he was deeply saddened as well, right? On this point, غضبان أسفا. So he went back to his people, right? قال يا قوم ألم يعدكم ربكم وعدا حسنا. So it's a rhetorical question, power. So he's clear. He's very angry at this point, right? And this is a righteous anger. This anger is not bad in and of itself. Anger is bad when it's done, when it's expressed egotistically, and it's expressed in a way which shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be expressed. Like, if someone bumps into you, you say, okay, I'm sorry, right? They say, I'm sorry. But if you look at them, oh, it's this person who I see is beneath me, and then you start getting angry and shouting at them, you know that's that's a problematic. That's haram, that's wrong. But anger, if like a parent, if he sees a child about to uh, you know um do something that's harmful for it, and the parents told the child once, twice, and eventually the parent raises his voice, that's understandable, right? So there's, oh, you just acts firmly, that's understandable. But anger in the Sharia is, anger is actually a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even Imam al-Ghazali, this is exactly what he's saying. He says in the Ihya that it's used to for defense, it's used to motivate a person. And it's like, for example, someone that's been wronged for a long time, if they get angry at the end of the road, then that's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because people that that can't stand up for themselves normally, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they go through a lot of difficulty, and it can make them angry, and then that anger is what motivates them to stand up for themselves or stand up for the truth, right? And so there's a gift in it. So he comes and he's angry at, they've thrown away all of these blessings Allah gave them, and they've gone and started worshipping this cow. What, so he said, Ya qawmi, oh my people, look, I've been teaching you, I'm from you, I've been doing all of this, and you've done this. So even there's like a criticism. Alam ya'idkum rabbukum wa'dan hasana. Didn't your Lord make you a good promise? Believe in Allah, believe in his messengers, his books, and you'll have a tremendous reward, right, in the akhirah. It could mean something else, but that's a general promise in Islam, right? And then he said, أَفَطَالَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْعَهْدُ أَمْ أَرَدْتُمْ أَنْ يَحِلَّ عَلَيْكُمْ غَضَبٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Right? Has a really long time passed for you, right? Like 80, 90 years have passed, and you've kind of forgotten what you're supposed to do. Like, for example, in the ahadith, in the narrations of in the end of time, before the end of the world, and there are narrations saying that the Kaaba will be demolished, and there's narrations saying there'll be people that's will say la ilaha illallah. Our ancestors used to say this, we don't know what it means, right? Long, generations, decades have passed, sometimes centuries, and they just lost connection. Has that happened? Or did you want Allah's punishment to descend upon you? Did you want to be destroyed? Because what else could it be? Like, look, you believers, but you started worshipping a cow. Why? So he said, uh, is what Allah promised you not enough? Like, you think, well, we're worshipping and we're not going to get anything out of it. Why bother? So let's go and just worship something else. Maybe we'll get something more. Is that the case? Clearly not, right? Then what is the case? Were you aware of it, but it was about, the terms weren't good for you? No, it's not. So they were aware of it and the terms are good, so it can't be that. Or did you forget? Were you not aware of it? Right? And the only way you could not be aware of it is if a long time had passed, because he just rescued you from Fir'aun, right? So it can't be that one either, right? Then why would you do it? You do it deliberately, right? That you do it to bring Allah's punishment on yourselves. What else is there? So فَأَخْلَفْتُ مَوْعِدِي. So you broke my promise, the promise you made to me, right? And they did this, and subhanallah, he's clearly upset. He's clearly upset. And then, so what happened? قالوا ما أخلفنا موعدك, right? بملكنا ولكننا حملنا أوزار من زينة القوم فقذفناها وكذلك ألقى السامري. They argued, we did not break our promise to you of our own free will, but we were made to carry the burden of people's golden jewelry. Then we threw it into the fire, and so did Samiri. Then he molded us, and then was it? فأخرج لهم عجلا جسدا له خوار فقالوا هذا إلهكم وإله موسى فنسي. So they said, this is your God, and the God of Moses, but Moses forgot. Waliyadu billah. Right. Okay. So they said, قالوا ما أخلفنا موعدك بملكنا ولكننا حملنا, and in another قراءة حملنا, right? حملنا أوزار من زينة القوم. So what had happened? Let me explain this. So Sayyidina Musa had gone. Now some of the narrations say, like obviously he was supposed to go for 30 days. Some of the narrations say that after 20, Samiri said, oh, and Samiri, this person, there's something inside, right? Shaitan had manipulated him and made him want to do this wrong thing. So, he's from Bani Isra'il. He's left Egypt. He's been saved. Yet there's still this thing within him where he wants to worship something else besides Allah, his cow or something. And this is clearly is from Shaitan's meddling with this person, right? So. What so as we said a few sessions ago, when they left Egypt, they took some of the gold and the jewelry from the Egyptians, right? Is this theft? No, right? They took their properties. They took their property, without their permission. Yes, but it was in exchange for all of the harm that Bani Israel, and they were we talk about taking someone's property. These people took their lives, right? They enslaved them for generations, right? They made them work without, for no recompense, for no payment. So they owed these people. So Bani Israel, they took some of the things. Now they're carrying all of this, and when they get here and say the Musa goes, Samiri comes. Now here's the thing. He used arguments against them, and he manipulated uh, their understanding of things. But whenever someone comes to you with a claim or with a set of instructions, as a believer, you know there are certain things that you learn. This is right, this is wrong. You study the Sharia, you study the principles of justice in the Sharia, you study the principles of right and wrong, right? So as a believer, you're meant to get to a stage where where you can see right and wrong, and you can identify it, and the things relating to your deen, certain rulings relating to your deen. Like if someone came and said, I started teaching, and everyone says he's the greatest scholar in the world and everything, and then one day he says, yeah, but actually I'm also a prophet, I'm the last prophet, a new prophet, because things have changed so much as it. Then you should have enough sense to say, you know what, no, this is contradicting the entire religion, right? So this doesn't work. So you're supposed to learn enough for this, right? And use your brain. أفلا تعقلون أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون, right? لأولي النهى, right? So there are many ayat in the Quran about reflecting and using your brain, your intelligence, to see right from wrong, right? So Samiri comes, and they should have seen that he's manipulating them. So he said, look, you've taken all of that wealth from those people, and it was wrong, and you've robbed them, and this and the other. So he's manipulating them. So what does he do? He got them to throw away all that gold, and what he had in his possession, he threw it as well. So when everyone threw their gold away, he was skilled in making shapes and idols, whatever, right? So he got all the gold, and he fashioned it into the shape of a cow, right? And he said, um, uh, so he said, then he molded for them an idol of a calf that made a lowing sound, which means it was mooing, basically. It was making the sound that cows make. And so they were like awestruck. And so it's like he's seeing, they said to him, uh, he's invited them to do something good. Throw this stuff away, it's wrong, it's sinful, don't be sinful people, whatever. Throw it away. Then he's got it and collected it, and he's made it into the shape of a calf, right? And how is it making sounds? We'll see, right? I won't spoil it, right? We'll see tomorrow, inshallah. But so what happens is, yeah, he does this, and then he convinces people. So they said, هذا إلهكم, this is your Lord, وإله Musa, and it's the Lord of Musa, فنسي, but Musa has forgotten. I mean, are you feeling all right? It's clearly exactly like this, someone saying, وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ, Allah protect us all, from such, batil. But there's someone claiming to be a prophet, right? It's clear, how many, we talked about this yesterday, and how many narrations are there where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La nabiyya ba'di," that there's no prophet after me, khatamun nabiyyin in the Quran. It's clear, it's understood. So for someone to come and start claiming this, there's a clear problem. There's a big problem. So this is how it is, and so they forgot. So he said, he said that this is Musa's God, and he forgot, right? Okay. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comments, أَفَلَا يَرَوْنَ أَلَّا يَرْجِعَ أَفَلَا يَرَوْنَ أَلَّا يَرْجِعُ إِلَيْهِمْ قَوْلًا وَلَا يَمْلِكُ لَهُمْ ضَرًّا وَلَا نَفْعًا. Do they not see يرجع الله أعلم. Anyway, it's saying, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do they not see that he can't return a statement to them? Allah yarji'u. Yeah, it's correct. That, when they speak to it and ask, it can't respond. Do they not see that? Like, so basically, look, I have this pen here, right? So, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I can do many things this pen can't do. I can walk, I can talk, I can jump, alhamdulillah, right? So for someone to come and pick up this pen, someone that can do all of these things and say, look, oh, this pen is so great, and I'm gonna devote my life to it. I'm gonna, this person, starts worshipping the pen. Look, you can do more than what the pen can. So why are you worshipping the pen, right? You could, if you're talking about writing, you can pick up another instrument and you can write just the same, right? So what quality is there in the pen that makes it worthy of worship? And if you talk about, it has certain qualities, you got qualities that surpass it. So clearly, when you speak to your pen, it can't respond back to you. When you speak to the cow, it can't speak back to you. So you don't deserve worship. Why do you? So so it's even a stronger case that the pen doesn't deserve worship, or the cow, right? So use your brain. So it can't respond to them. وَلَا يَمْلِكُ لَهُمْ ضَرًّا وَلَا نَفْعًا, and it doesn't have the ability to harm or benefit them. And then he said, وَلَقَدْ قَالَ لَهُمْ هَارُونَ مِنْ قَبْلُ يَا قَوْمِ. And Sayyidina Harun also said to them, right, just before this, right, إِنَّمَا فُتِنْتُمْ بِهِ. So we look at what Sayyidina Harun said. There's a couple of set of verses, we look at them. But this is what he said to them. Clearly, you've been tested by this. Another way of understanding it is that you've been bewitched, like you've been sucked into this, like it's gripped you, right, by it, right, or by him, right, the Samiri. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ, and your Lord is the all merciful. فَاتَّبِعُونِي وَأَطِيعُوا أَمْرِي, so follow me and obey my command. I'm also a prophet. I'll show you the right way, right? So obey me and don't worship this cow, right? So قالوا لن نبرح عليه عاكفين حتى يرجع إلينا موسى. So they said, we're going to continue. We will not cease to worship it until Musa returns to it. So they're like, we're convinced that it's right to worship this thing, and we're going to stay like this. Just Zid. After seeing Musa alayhi salatu wasalam perform those miracles, after clearly they know that Sayyidina Harun is also a prophet from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they just don't care. They just want to continue doing what they're doing. So A'udhu Billah, Allah protect us. So their stubbornness led them to stay like this. So we'll continue from here tomorrow, inshallah. We'll look at what Sayyidina Musa says to his brother Harun alayhi salatu wasalam, what happens to Samiri, and we'll look at the conclusion of the story, inshallah. So a couple of lessons. The arrogant see themselves as above others and the truth, and above the truth. Big problem. Big problem. So in essence, they see themselves as superior to everything, right? Which is, just blindness and foolishness. Allah protect us from that. They will always choose falsehood if the truth offends their sense of superiority. It's as simple as that. Whatever makes them keep feeling like they're better than everyone or everything, then that's what they're going to follow. Hasten to do good deeds to please Allah. Whenever you have the chance and you can, do something good, right? Please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of your ability. Just like Sayyidina Musa did. It's the attitude of, it's not just a good deed, but it's the willingness and the desire to do it at the same, like he really wanted to go be with Allah and speak to Allah. So that desire is, something very positive, right? Real arguments with the standards of the Sharia, with your intellect. So use your brain to use the standards of the Sharia, right or wrong, good or bad. And don't just, uh, don't just think, well, yes, there are certain things that need qualification, like, is this a sound fiqh position to follow? Then obviously you go to an expert and say, look, this is what it is, can I do this? And you take that position, right? But otherwise, when it comes to clear things are right and wrong, Allah has given us a brain, use it. Something that can't benefit or harm others is clearly not worthy of worship, so why bother? Yeah. What do people do? Why is dua considered the essence of worship? Because, it's, what people do when they're desperate, when they can't do anything themselves, they reach out to someone. So why reach out to someone or something that can't benefit or harm you? Right? Turn to Allah who can. So, okay, great. Let's call it a day here, and we'll continue from this point. Inshallah ta'ala, wa sallallahu Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallah fikum, Sayyidi. Ya much ma bi'ihur. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit seekersguidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit seekersguidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.